Wardrobe for the Bass True Anglers podcast is brought to you by Basco Fishing. High-performance fishing apparel that can be customized to fit your needs. Do you need to showcase your brand? Does your business need apparel? Do you need a tournament jersey? Visit their website at www.bascofishing.com. Well, get those life vests zipped and clipped, strap down those rods, and stow away those tackle bags because we are going fishing. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bass True Anglers podcast. I'm Keith Nicewonger, and I hope this episode finds you with 5 for 25 in your live well. But they better not be 13-inch fish, otherwise we're going to cut them open. Special thanks to our partners who make this podcast possible. Basco Fishing is the official wardrobe sponsor of the Bass True Anglers podcast. Today I am wearing the Margarita Seafoam SPF 30 hooded sun shirt. Be sure to check out all the colors and all the styles by going to bascofishing.com. By now, you know we are the Western representatives for ducket fishing, pro-driven rods, reels, and baits. Ducket fishing is building a Western presence, and if you haven't seen it yet, you soon will. If you live in the West and know of a tackle shop, kayak store, boat dealership, tattoo parlor, gas station, sporting goods store, donut shop, barbershop, smoke shop, dentist office, or beauty shop that we should be in, drop us a note and we will follow up on that. Find out about Ducket's full lineup of pro-driven products by going to their website, ducketfishing.com. In this episode, I'm going to discuss the rather low-hanging fruit topic of the cheating incident last week. I've been trying to figure out what I want to say about this that hasn't already been said. But first, if you like the content that we produce on this channel, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, like this video, and drop us a comment if you're not scared. Hit that subscribe button right now. I'll wait. Thank you. The Lake Erie walleye cheating incident, an ugly punch in the nose for all professional fishing events. Add social media to it, and it goes viral. CNN, Fox News, you name it. Everyone's covered it. The New York Post has covered it, for crying out loud. Before we get too far down into this hole, I want to remember to give a special shout out to all the anglers and spectators that were in attendance at that event. Special kudos to you for not killing anyone. That had all the makings of some good old-fashioned Western justice, and I gotta say, the fact that nobody harmed these two goobers is a real narrative to the really special kind of people that get involved in professional fishing and tournament fishing in general. It's a wholesome sport, and again, that could have been a really, really ugly scene at that weigh-in, and I just think it's a great thing that the people that were there had the sense to remain calm and to not As I said, practice any Western justice there. I will say this to anyone and everyone who has so bravely recorded themselves taking a righteous stand against cheating this week. Give me a break. Is there anyone in favor of cheating in these events? It's kind of low-hanging fruit, kind of virtue signaling, isn't it? Great. Now I'm guilty of it. This season, we have seen the full spectrum of cheating in the sport of professional fishing. We saw a Bass Pro Tour angler disqualified for getting information via some kind of electronic messaging during a no information period at that time. Not the most heinous of all tournament cheating incidents, but still a violation of rules. It still crossed the line between what is acceptable behavior and what is not acceptable behavior. I'm kind of wondering if there is a lesser violation of rules that would still be considered cheating. I just don't know. And of course, we have just witnessed one of the most blatant attempts to cheat in a tournament situation, the stuffing of lead weights down the throats of walleyes to increase a cheater's weight. I'm wondering if there's a greater violation of tournament rules and ethics that could occur. I don't know, perhaps using dynamite. Maybe that would be a greater violation or even more cheating than stuffing weights down a fish's throat. So there appears to be a cheating spectrum out there. Some things that are cheating, but not as bad at cheating as other things. Some things that are really cheating. I don't know. I guess the question I have is cheating cheating? Where do we draw the line? Where is that gray area where somebody violates a rule and they're just simply disqualified from an event? And what gets you banned for life? That's the very interesting thing here. There's a lot of psychology in this. You know, what constitutes the cheating that you and I are outraged by, and what constitutes the cheating that we're a little upset about, but you can keep fishing. This is a really fascinating topic and something that bears a lot of thinking. I would love to hear your thoughts, whether it be on our Instagram page or whether it be right here on the YouTube site. Please leave us a message and let us know what you think constitutes real cheating. Stuffing weights down the throat of a fish seems pretty bad. Is there anything worse than that? Is there anything slightly better than that? Send us your comments. I would love to hear them. I've listened to a lot of YouTube commentators this week, and it makes me wonder where the following actions would fall on this cheating spectrum. Think about this. Using live scope to try and snag a fish. You know, you see a fish move towards your glide bait, your jerk bait, crankbait, or flutter spoon. It gets really close. Maybe you can't even tell the difference between where your bait is and where the fish is. So what do? You start ripping that crankbait, that glide bait, that spoon to try to generate a strike or a snag. Do you count that fish if you foul hook it and get it into the boat? Okay, just something to think about. How about fishing in an off-limits area? Where does that fall on the cheater meter? Oh, I got it. The cheater meter. Where does that fall on the cheater meter? Making a cast before line's in. Maybe not so much with bass boats because bass boats have blasts off, but how about in a kayak tournament? Making a cast before line's in. Where does that fall on the cheater meter? How about receiving waypoints from a friend? Is that acceptable? How about running your boat up to a competitor, a guide, or just someone you saw catching a fish and hitting the waypoint button on your meter? How about that? You know, Jacob Wheeler famously tore off the wrap on his boat so that he could pre-fish at Lake Pickwick so that all the other competitors would not know that was him out there on his offshore spots. He didn't want anybody coming up to him because it was Jacob Wheeler hitting the save waypoint button on their electronics. How about that? Is that cheating? I fished recently with a a local hammer at Lake Gunnersville. And when we were out there fishing on the ledges, he told me, he says, Keith, I don't want to stay too long on any of these spots, because if you stay really long on these spots, guys come by in their boats, they get really close to you, and they hit the waypoint save button. I thought, wow, that is crazy. My question is, where does that fall on the cheater meter? Is that cheating? Anglers are always looking for an advantage, and unfortunately, the line between fair and unfair sometimes gets blurred. Stuffing waste down the throat of a fish is not a blurred line situation. It is a narcissistic act and the mark of a toxic personality. This is not the first time we have experienced anglers stuffing weights down the throats of fish to cheat in tournaments. At the 2010 Juan Bass U.S. Open at Lake Mead, a very popular Western pro with a tremendous tournament record was caught with dead fish that had lead weights stuffed down its throat into its gullet. More than anything, this reminds us that anywhere there's notoriety, there will be those narcissistic individuals that are willing to cross ethical boundaries just to look good, just to come across as an authority, just to win. It's up to us to keep our eyes open and question things that seem odd. In other news, yes, there is other news out there. Congratulations to Tristan McCormick on his great win at the BASS Open event at Lake Hartwell. This happened just yesterday. Recording this today on Sunday, he won this event yesterday. That's a classic invitation for McCormick, big time. And perhaps even more importantly, I say that tongue-in-cheek, McCormick moves into the lead in our Bass Tour Anglers podcast Angler of the Year race. Taking a look at the standings, you can take a look. There he is, first place McCormick. He's got a 50-point lead with only a couple of events left to go. Laker Howell, who's done very well on the Toyota Series this year, is in second. Matt Becker, very solid year. Dakota Ibert, last year's winner. And you can see the rest of the top 10 right there. But what an epic weekend for Tristan McCormick and the Bass Tour Anglers podcast Angler of the Year. Now, what does Tristan get if he holds out and wins this? Well, gets a nice plaque. Maybe someday we'll have a paying sponsor that will allow us to present the winner with a check. Anybody out there that would like to be part of that, let me know and I'll go to work for you. There are only 2 events left this season in the Bass Tour Anglers podcast Angler of the Year race. We have the U.S. Open, the Juan Bass U.S. Open that's taking place on Lake Mojave this year. That event has always been on Lake Mead, but Lake Mead's water is so low. Lake Mojave is a very smart choice for this event. It is full of largemouth and smallmouth. It should be a really good event, I would think. That gets kicked off this week. It's a big point event. There's usually 200 to 300 boats in that tournament. And the reason we include this in our Angler of the Year standing is because so many pros come from so many places to fish it. If you follow Rick Clun on Instagram, he's making his way across the country as we speak to get to Lake Mojave to fish in this event. He always fishes the U.S. Open. I think these Western Colorado River impoundments have a soft spot for him in his heart. It should. He's won 4 of the U.S. Open events. He's done very well out in the West. The final event for the Bass Tour Anglers podcast Angler of the Year race will be the BASS Open Central Final at Sam Rayburn, which promises to be a big event as well. So we are wrapping up our season very quickly here. We will be crowning a winner in a couple of weeks. And right now, Tristan McCormick, who, by the way, has another event to fish, he is going to be at Sam Rayburn in a couple of weeks. So he's got a chance to do well in there and further widen his lead. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Bass Tour Anglers podcast. Thanks for being with us. Until next time, keep both hands on the wheel, keep those live feds zipped and clipped, stay safe, and we will talk to you again very soon.